This video is focused on team training, in particular, how to create a highly effective team, but also what to do when things in a team go horribly wrong. Laura, nice to speak to you.
As well.
Let's talk about team. You spend a lot of time in the team training world.
Yes.
Tell me, what is it to create an effective team?
So the bottom line to effective team comes back to purpose. And I say this, and this is where it's been instrumental when working with clients about helping them get clear on why is this team coming together. And it sounds so simple, but I've had many an instance, I don't know if it'd be good to share one.
Sure, please.
Of a situation where it had huge global implications.
I mean, these teams are quite big. You're talking about.
The team actually itself wasn't that big. It was the implications of a $180 million deal that almost went south.
Okay.
And it was an outsourcing deal, and the client was a global retail company that was using this other company to do the HR outsourcing. Mm-hmm. And they had gone through 3 execs on the outsourcing company and 2 execs on the retail side. So a lot of churn, and it's complex, very detailed contracting to do these outsourcing work. So the work that we did was came in and did our process where we're understanding what's actually happening, getting it from different viewpoints. And what we pieced together was a puzzle to help bring back their process and the breakdowns. And what we learned very quickly, to cut to the chase, is that they were not all on the same page about why they were really there. And they came up with a slogan called HR Easy. That the bottom line was that when you don't notice HR is there, you know that they're doing their job right, which is a thankless job. So everyone go thank your HR people. Because when you get your payroll on time, your benefits are there. All those things are just in the background. As soon as our iPhones don't work, we're up in arms, but when it does, we're going through things. Mm. So purpose with this team helped them identify, why are we really here? We're here to make HR really easy for every one of the 170,000 employees. Once they got that as their focus, the 2 sides came together, looking together at the forward part of this as to the client, the person who's on the other end of the phone. And it was no longer at each other. So their whole dynamic shifted, and that's what purpose can do.
Let's talk about team training, which is exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
But I want to ask this. You've written a book, your 3rd book, called A Pocket Guide to Purpose for Teams.
Yes.
And you've just given an illustrative story there. What I want to know is, could you give me 2 or 3 steps in brief form that you would apply to team training to build a more effective team?
So first things first is understanding your current state. Understanding what's the mindset, what are the conditions in the environment, both on a business, like competition-wise, what's happening in terms of what's at stake. If you can understand, that's all part of like the current piece of the analysis. The what's at stake gives people a reason to listen. Mm. If we don't do this work, what will happen? Mm. And it gets very heated quickly because people start realizing we have to shape up, we have to align.
Do something about this.
Right. Mm. So that's job number 1. Job number 2 is then looking at aligning on the future state. Sounds easier than it is, but the future state, you have to think about what's the realm we're really talking about. If we're going, for example, to a room in New York City, what's the block it's on, what's the floor, what's the room number? That's the kind of specificity that we have to get narrowed in on to the future state. Otherwise, you could be in New Jersey.
Well,
you're
it's like
in the Northeast.
Saying, if our future state is, let's be better, what does that mean?
Exactly. Mm. So this is all about alignment to a place where people literally are in the same room at the same time in the same day, and being able to have that kind of clarity.
It seems to me that a very highly aligned team, especially around self-purpose and business purpose, would be highly effective.
Hugely.
Let me ask you the opposite question.
Yeah.
You've been involved in this for some decades.
Yes.
What happens when the wheels fall off? Mm. What does it look like to have a room full of people who are in conflict?
Yeah. So this is where very quickly you just want to run. it can be a very competitive environment. People are not thinking they can change, that we've always done it this way and we should stay this way. So the idea is to identify what are the mottos that people are living in that are keeping them stuck from where they need to be, and help them understand that what's the value of that. And here's the thing that I've learned mostly, is that people stay where they're at because they haven't been able to see a better future, or they haven't mourned the death of that approach. And so there's been no recognition or honoring of what has been. And so by simply recognizing what has been and looking at it from a place of it's been a loss, there's been concern, a lot of emotions that are considered, very negative in a way, but they're important to address, because without addressing them, it's very difficult to move on. So it's first things first. That makes sense. The phrase, the king is dead, long live the king. Yeah. Mourn and move on. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's also funny. Did you ever see a science fiction movie called Oblivion, Tom Cruise? No. The whole movie's about, are we an effective team? I got to go see this. It's spooky. It's very spooky. And what happens when they're not an effective team? That's not a good day. So a couple more questions here for you. Are there any insights you could offer us on how to avoid team conflicts? Yes. So I come back to it again about purpose. And avoiding conflict means, here's the thing. I don't think actually avoiding conflict is always good. I think conflict helps you build the understanding of differences and new insights. Actually, there's a great research done by Google called Project Aristotle. And what they found was they were trying to study high-performing teams. And what they learned was they came up with a hypothesis that if you had certain outcomes or a certain leader or a certain, what it came down to was, does the team have the ability to have conflict and can recover from it? So there was enough what they called psychological safety. If there's safety in the team, and there's some great studies done at Harvard and the business school there about having that kind of psychological safety. If someone is willing to risk and put a different idea out there than the conventional norm, and it's not accepted, how does the team deal with it? Because what we find is the breakthrough happens when someone's in discourse and pushing and pulling, and then the next idea comes up because of the discourse. So you need the conflict. It's not always something you want to get rid of conflict, but how do you have it be constructive? It's like saying there should be no anger in the world. Well, hang on. Anger can be such good energy and such good change. Yes. It's being able to arguably go through that, release that, and come out the other side. Yes. That perhaps defines. All right, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. We could keep talking about team training, I'm sure, for a good long time. Yeah. For those of you who'd like to find out more, please visit us online at purposestone.com. Also, feel free to like this video, share this video if you have any questions in the comments section below, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel.